Welcome to this journey through one of the most unsettling and unexplained cases ever documented in the American South. Before we begin, I invite you to leave in the comments where you're watching from and the exact time at which you're listening to this narration. We are interested to know how far these documented accounts reach and at what moments of day or night they find their listeners. In the summer of 1844, something began in Vicksburg, Mississippi that would challenge everything the wealthy landowners of the region believed about the world, about human nature, and about the boundaries between the natural and the supernatural. It started with whispers among field hands and house servants, spread to the offices of physicians and clergymen, and eventually reached the highest circles of Mississippi society, where it would remain a closely guarded secret for more than a century. The story centers on two young women who would become known as Dahlia and Lily, twin sisters whose very existence seemed to defy the natural order. Born from the same womb, yet appearing as opposites, night and day made flesh. Dahlia possessed skin described in auction records as dark as Mississippi soil after rain, with eyes that seemed to hold depths no human gaze should contain. Lily, her twin, was afflicted, or perhaps blessed, with a condition the medical men of the era called leucism, her skin pale as moonlight, her hair white as cotton blossoms, her eyes a peculiar pale amber that seemed to shift color depending on the light. Together they formed a duality that observers found profoundly disturbing. Not because of their contrasting appearances alone, though that was remarkable enough, but because of something in their presence, in the synchronized way they moved, in the identical intensity of their gazes, that suggested they were not truly two separate beings, but rather two manifestations of a single incomprehensible entity. This is not a story of romance or desire in any conventional sense. This is a chronicle of fear, obsession, and inexplicable phenomena that surrounded two women whose very existence seemed to mock the rigid racial categories upon which Southern society was built. What you are about to hear has been pieced together from plantation records, medical journals, church documents, and personal diaries that remained hidden in private collections until recently. The first documented reference to the twins appears in the ledger of the Riverside Auction House in Natchez, Mississippi, dated June 14, 1844. The entry is unusual in several respects. Unlike typical slave auction records, which provided detailed physical descriptions to establish value, this entry contains only a brief notation. Twin females, approximately 20 years of age, one negress of pure complexion, one afflicted with white condition, origin unknown, sold as single lot to intermediary for Belmont interests. Price withheld from public record. The selling price, when it was finally discovered in private Belmont family papers in 1967, was staggering, $18,000, at a time when a strong field hand might sell for $1,500, and even the most accomplished house servant rarely exceeded $3,000. What made these particular women worth such an extraordinary sum? Reverend Samuel Hutchins, a Methodist minister who happened to be in Natchez that June day, recorded his impressions in a journal that would not be made public until his great-granddaughter donated it to the Mississippi Historical Society in 1952. He wrote, "I have witnessed many unfortunate souls sold into bondage, a practice I find increasingly difficult to reconcile with Christian teaching. But today I saw something that troubled me in an entirely different manner." The twin women on the block stood side by side, holding hands, creating a visual contrast so stark it seemed almost supernatural. One dark as night, one pale as death itself, yet their faces were identical in every feature. They did not weep or plead as so many do. They simply stood, with a composure that seemed almost otherworldly, and observed the crowd with eyes that appeared to see far more than they should. What disturbed me most was that they moved in perfect synchronization, as though connected by invisible threads. When one breathed, the other breathed. When one turned her head, the other mirrored the movement exactly.